So Rich, the next two I've got here are part of our core series.
Yep.
Like this one here especially, which is the Black Diamond, it's been in the range for 7 years, and it's just one of those boards that you make in your lifetime and just keeps selling and just keeps going because it's just what the public want. You know, they're coming off, whether they're coming off mid-lengths or soft boards, or whether they want to ride it really short and just throw it around, in Indo or something like that. It's just one of those boards, especially because it's a round tail. It's so versatile. It's just been one of those boards that's been really good. One of the things about this board is it's got a 5-fin option. And why I find the 5-fin option so important on this is a lot of people buy it over-volumed.
Yep.
Because they just want to be able to catch waves and have fun. They want to enjoy what we do every day. And so the quad to me was when those people are buying it over-volume. So, they're turning, and the quad just gives them a little bit more turning thing in there. But then also with the back fin, I've moved it up a little bit, and that's the reason why I came up with that 5-fin set, which me and Mick collaborated on.
Yep. To
have that option of that smaller back fin for that reason. So that smaller back fin, what that sort of made it loosen it up and free it up. Is that sort of what you think?
Absolutely, especially when you're talking about a more narrow tail like this, as opposed to a square or squash tail that has more area down here. This narrower, pinnier tail, rounder tail, it's sort of sitting in the water a little bit more. It's very smooth, transition rail to rail, but it can be a little stiffer when we actually look at the plan shape of the board.
Yep.
So by reducing that centre fin, it just allows you to free up the tail a little bit more. It's a little bit looser and it's a bit easier to turn. And on a board like this, which really is a utility board for everyone, it's got a lot of volume up forward, a lot of paddle power up there, and then there's all this performance down here. So, this is a really important part of the board, and I think you've matched the fin setup perfectly here, and the fin that you worked on with Mick and that we worked on with yourself and Mick, that 5-fin pairing, it allows this board to be a number of different boards.
Yeah, exactly.
At a number of different places.
Exactly.
So as a thruster, it's going to feel really predictable and nice to turn. You're going to have a lot of control there. With the smaller center fin, it's not going to feel too sticky. And then as a quad, it's going to feel really drivey, and it's going to accelerate really fast and feel really nice and smooth off the top and do nice smooth flowing turns. And really the theory behind losing that center fin and going to a quad is that you're adding speed because you're reducing drag. So it's easier to get up and going, especially for surfers that perhaps are a bit older, not as fit as they were.
That's what I'm finding.
That's us, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I lean into quads a lot now, just because of that reason, and the 20s and the Twin Plus One. That's where my head is at now, because I feel, or where my body's at now, because I feel like I don't have to work as hard, but I'm still getting those feelings going through the turns. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds. So the Black Diamond, I feel like paired with the DHD Mick Fanning tri-quad set is the perfect combination. I'm going to ask you a question now. We talked about your performance series. This is part of the core series. And we've talked about that the performance series has a lot more bend, a lot more rocker. These ones are a bit more relaxed. So just to get into a bit of technical talk, what's the sort of tail rocker measurement on the performance stuff versus what we're looking at here, nose and tail?
Well, the ETH, the Juliet and the DNA, they got the most tail rocker. Like, we're talking around 2.5 inches of tail rocker, about 5 inches of nose rocker, spread out through the whole board. And that's ranges from, say, 5'9" to, say, 6'2", and then it goes even a little bit more, and we can go a little bit less. But this is like really flat in the nose. So it's just really easy to paddle. Doesn't purl because there's all that volume to keep your chest up. But the tail is really, it's flat, but there's enough rocker so you can bend it from, get it moving from, like a fish sort of thing. But that's why this quad, to me, when I first made this, I made it as a thruster, rode as a thruster. I was just a thruster guy. Everyone's going, you got to put quads in it. And I played around with quads and played around a lot with Mick with quads. But the quad thing for me, what I'm trying to understand is this is the one that you and I talked about and we put in with that foil. What is that foil?
That's an 80-20 foil.
Yeah. So and is that the only foil you do in a quad for this type?
It's the most popular foil that we do on the quad. So we have a reactor quad, we have the performer quad and the carver quad. And this is actually the performer quad rear just applied to your fin set, which we find this performer quad rear is an incredibly versatile rear fin. Kelly used it for years. You know, Mick, everyone who leans into the quads generally gravitates towards this one, unless it's much bigger, heavier waves. We're talking about sort of bigger guns where the fins are placed closer to the stringer. Then they'll lean into the carver quad, which is a 50-50. Like a centre fin, right? So theory is the closer you get into the stringer, the more those quad rears are going to act like a centre fin.
Yeah, Mick won the world title on that fin.
Correct, he did.
On that 610,
He did. So the 80-20 foil, as you get those quad positionings a little further towards the rail, this fin starts to act like a side fin. And so we take a little bit of foil from here and we put it on this side. So there's 80% of that convex foil on this side and 20% on this side. And we feel that just marries and works really, really well with that side fin and just allows the board to just turn in a really smooth manner and allow those transitions from rail to rail, side to side, incredibly smooth.
And that's what I explain to the customer that comes in and sees me, is that you're buying this board, it's going to paddle amazing. Please, I'll put 5 fins in it.
Utilise it.
And a lot of people don't, because I'm explaining to them, you're doing a bottom turn and you're looking there and the quad lets you get there and then lets you come back again, where a thruster just thrusts you out there. So just make sure, if when you get a 5 fin set in a board, there's been a lot of testing, not just from me putting them in the right position, but also a company like FCS gets those foils right. So that's the Black Diamond. That's going to just straight DHD 5, Mick and DHD 5 fin set.
Well, you're getting 2 boards in one. With one set of fins.
So now the other part of the core series is the SANDMAN. I made this board because this one was such a good board, and I wanted people that could have all that volume again, but actually get a little bit more high performance. And as you can see, there's a little bit more nose rocker, reduced the nose a little bit, still kept the tail in reasonably tight, but this has got a lot of volume, but I've thinned the rail out so you can actually slice it. And what I find is the customers come in wanting to go to Indo, wanting to go on a surf trip, and this is the board that they're leaning to. They're a tradie, they're working in an office, they've made their money, and they want to get out there and surf all these beautiful waves we've got around. But going back on fins to test this, why I made this was because out snapper it gets crowded. I wanted a board that I could get out there and
compete. Well, with the crowd.
But even more than compete, I want to get a lot of waves, as many as I could, because I had to go back to work. So I rode this out, and I rode like a 6.4. It was about 34 litres, and the low roller board was feeling really good. I put the Mick fannings in, but it just locked it. It was sticky, And then I'm like going, all right, well, I'll go back to the carver. Same again, same result.
Same family.
And then you guys gave me all these fins to test, and I went, all right, well, I'll try this, accelerator. I mean, how long's that been in the range?
It's been in the range since we started.
And I've gone, why did this fin just, all of a sudden, this board just come to life. And I'm going, how did we get away from it? And I've just been testing this fin, and I'm not a pro but I'm in this family now that this accelerator has just been incredible. What is it about this fin?
We classify this as an all-round plus type of fin. It'll work in a variety of different conditions. It sits right alongside the Performer, which is our all-rounder. So they're both fairly similar in template, but the accelerator's slightly upsized. So if you took a medium reactor, Performer and Carver, they're all very, very similar in area, just the template is different. Whereas the accelerator it's got a higher area when you look at the outline. There's a little bit more tip involved with it as well.
So that's why I can ride a medium in that.
Correct.
And still have enough drive and release.
Correct.
Compared to lock.
Yeah.
That explains everything.
So it's aptly named, the accelerator. It pushes forward.
Yeah.
This is actually the template that I used for the back half of my career on the championship tour.
You win dresses on that?
I did.
There you go.
Very, very reliable fin and a great all-rounder. And this is what you've told me about this board is that it is a hybrid and it will go in a variety of different conditions. The rocker's not too extreme that it needs a mick or a carver to anchor it in. So that's sort of the perfect marriage, you know. This is I guess a medium tail rockered board. It's not super flat, so this fin pairs well with it, and I understand why it goes in this board now. You know, and you're having a good time with it. So that pairing's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm 77, 78 kilo. You're about 80 kilo.
Yep.
And I find when I ride this, I can ride as a medium.
Yep.
And then I find the different, you know, that going from medium to large sometimes can be really confusing for a lot of people. One is, you know, the power of the pro surfers, they're all on large.
Yeah,
pretty
all of
much.
them.
But for someone like you and myself and, you know, our people out there, when do you sort of, is it your ability or your strength or your weight? Is it a bit of everything?
I mean, primarily it's your weight is the major influence on where you sit, whether it's small, medium and large and either side of that. Gabriel Medina, for instance, you know, he would probably be in the large category, but he's so strong that he rides extra large fins. He rides the extra large GM, which is actually the extra large performer paired with a large performer in the back. So for us, we're right in that middle zone between medium and large, and that's why this fin works so well for us in the medium. But it's really that sort of 75 to 80 kilo mark, then you make that jump up to large. But by the time you're sort of 85, 90 kilos, I would think that you're right in that large category. So, you know, we all this information is on the website. You can have a look at your weight range, and that's a good guide where anyone can just go to and find out what size is going to work for them. But you know, sometimes it's just having a little try and an experiment as well, and finding what works for you.
All right, well that's cool. So Black Diamond, 5 fin set.
Yep.
And you didn't even have to talk me into it. I was already talked into it, but now I understand why this fin is, you know, it just changed this board's life.
Yeah. Well, again, it comes back to what we talked about before. You pair the right fin with the right board, and you will unlock the performance of that board.
And that's exactly what that fin did.
And that's what that's done. Good stuff.
All right, thank you. Let's
moving right along.
Let's go and grab some other boards.